It was a Friday night, and the city lights outside pulsed like the heartbeat of a never-ending party. Inside one of the trendiest bars, laughter and music filled the air. At the center of it all sat a lively group of friends, half hidden in a plush red booth, their drinks glinting amber and gold in the low light. Among them was Sarah, a stunning blonde in her mid-20s. Her hair fell in loose, silky waves down to her shoulders, glimmering almost white under the bar's neon glow. She wore a short black skirt that hugged her athletic hips and round, firm bottom. Her waist was slender, her long legs crossed confidently. Her top was a sheer dark blouse through which the outline of an intricate deep red lace bra was barely visible, its delicate patterns accentuating the curve of her full, generous breasts. About a D-cup, round and youthful. Underneath, matching red lace panties hugged her body, with slender straps rising over her hips. Her skin was smooth, her features sharp and lively. Sarah's eyes, bright blue, shone with a hint of mischief and anticipation. Her best friend, Ashley, was with her. Ashley had wavy brown hair, warm hazel eyes, and a curvy figure. A little softer, with a natural fullness to her chest and hips. Her outfit was playful. A short floral dress and white lingerie barely visible beneath. The rest of the group included Nick and Jason, both tall, fit, and attractive, and Mia, a redhead in a silver tank top, petite but bursting with energy. The night had just started, and the friends had already shared a few jokes and drinks. The bar itself had a certain glamour. Tall shelves stacked with colorful bottles, bartenders in fitted shirts and suspenders, and the scent of citrus and fresh mint. Sarah twirled her glass, smiling at Ashley. "Let's make tonight unforgettable," Ashley whispered, nudging her. Suddenly, Nick grinned and leaned over the table, holding up a coaster. "How about a little game?" he asked, his eyes glinting with challenge. "Winner gets a round on the house?" Everyone nodded, eager for something new. Nick explained the rules. "We each have to collect a signature from someone who works here. But the twist is, you can only get it through flirting. No direct asking, and the best, most creative approach wins." A burst of laughter erupted around the table. Sarah looked toward the bar, where a tall, striking bartender was expertly pouring drinks. Matt was impossible to miss. He was over 6 feet tall, with broad shoulders, light brown hair in a messy, just-out-of-bed style, and a 5 o'clock shadow that gave him an irresistibly rugged charm. His eyes, a deep green, sparkled with playful intelligence. His fitted shirt clung to a toned chest and strong arms, and his smile, quick, sly, confident, seemed to linger on Sarah a moment too long. Ashley smirked. "Sarah, I dare you to go for the big prize." Sarah laughed, tossing her hair. "What, him?" Mia grinned. "Go get him, Tiger." With a conspiratorial wink, Sarah slipped from the booth, heels clicking on the wood floor. She approached the bar, letting her hips sway with natural confidence. Her skirt rode high on her thighs, and as she slid onto a stool, she crossed her legs, aware of the glances her outfit attracted. The silky touch of her lace panties and bra gave her a secret thrill, an added layer of boldness. Matt was already watching her. "Another drink?" he asked, his voice smooth, almost teasing. Sarah tilted her head, playing coy. I'm more interested in something else tonight. He smiled, leaning closer across the bar. Oh? And what would that be? Sarah drew a cocktail napkin towards her, tracing the edge with a fingertip. I heard a rumor that the bartenders here give the best autographs in the city, but not to just anyone. Matt chuckled, folding his arms on the bar. You think you're worthy? Sarah locked eyes with him, letting a slow, inviting smile spread across her lips. Maybe you should find out. Matt laughed softly, then leaned even closer, lowering his voice. Come back after closing. Maybe I'll let you earn it. Sarah returned to her friends, her cheeks flushed, her heart pounding with excitement. They showered her with teasing questions, but she kept her answers vague, stoking their curiosity. As the night wore on, Sarah caught Matt's eye again and again, exchanging secret glances. When the last of the crowd filtered out, she slipped away from her group and made her way to a dimly lit corner near the bar's storeroom. Matt was waiting. His confidence was magnetic, his smile a silent invitation. Their conversation grew more intimate, the air charged with expectation. Matt stepped closer, his hand resting gently at the small of her back. Sarah's breath caught as his fingers slid down to the hem of her skirt, tracing the bare skin of her thigh. The lace of her panties was soft beneath his touch. Sarah's hands moved up, playing with the collar of his shirt. He leaned in, and their lips met. First gently, then hungrily, Matt's hands explored her curves. The pressure of his palm along the curve of her hip, her waist up to the clasp of her bra beneath her blouse. The feeling was electric, every touch sending heat through her body. The boundaries blurred between game and real desire, but Matt was careful, never pushing too far. Instead, he drew out each moment, savoring every reaction. Sarah felt herself melting into his arms, tension and anticipation swirling within her. The moment lingered, passionate but controlled, thrilling yet safe. At last, Matt stepped back, his hand still warm at her waist. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a marker, scribbling his name in looping script across the cocktail napkin. He handed it to Sarah, their eyes meeting one last time. For you, a night to remember, he whispered. Sarah smiled, her pulse still racing. She tucked the napkin away and made her way back to her friends, who greeted her with applause and laughter, completely unaware of what had just transpired behind the scenes. The night continued with more games, more laughter, but Sarah's mind kept returning to that secret, stolen moment in the shadows. The touch of Matt's hands, the heat in his eyes, and the wild thrill of breaking the rules. In the corner of her purse, the napkin waited, a souvenir of desire, daring, and the start of a story that was only just beginning. The sun crept through thin curtains, painting pale stripes across Sarah's bare legs as she stretched in her king-size bed. The thrill of last night lingered in her veins, the taste of adventure and forbidden closeness still fresh. Her phone buzzed. It was nearly 11, far later than she'd usually sleep in. She rolled over and saw Chris, her husband, already up, quietly moving around the kitchen, the sound of eggs sizzling and coffee brewing drifting in from the next room. Chris was a handsome man, broad-shouldered and athletic, with dark hair cropped short and a clean jaw. His eyes were gentle, a deep brown that always made Sarah feel at home. Sarah slipped out of bed, wrapping herself in a silk robe. Beneath she wore the same dark red lace lingerie from last night. The memory of Matt's touch making her cheeks flush. She glanced at her phone and noticed a message from an unknown number. "For your collection, M." Attached was a photo. The cocktail napkin from the bar. Matt's bold signature scrawled across it. For a moment, Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She quickly tucked her phone away and went to join Chris. Chris turned and smiled as she entered the kitchen. "Rough night?" he teased, handing her a mug of coffee. "Just a little too much fun," she replied, kissing him lightly on the cheek. They sat together at the small table, sharing breakfast. But there was a subtle tension in the air, an undercurrent Sarah hadn't noticed before. Chris studied her for a moment. His brow furrowed as if he wanted to ask something, but could not find the words. After breakfast, Sarah retreated to the bathroom. She leaned against the cool tile, closing her eyes as fragments of last night flashed through her mind. She remembered Matt's hands tracing her sides, his lips trailing warm, deliberate kisses along her neck and shoulder, the brush of his fingers under the lace of her bra, the gentle pressure along the soft swell of her breasts. He had whispered in her ear, voice low and playful, making her laugh and shiver at the same time. Sarah had never felt so alive, every nerve ending on fire, her body humming with anticipation and excitement. It had been just a taste, thrilling, secret, and dangerously intoxicating. Sarah caught her breath and straightened. She told herself it was just a game, a silly dare, nothing more. Later that afternoon, Ashley called. "So, are you going to frame that autograph or what?" She laughed. Sarah smiled, glancing at the napkin she'd slipped into her purse. "It's just a memory," she said. "A fun story, nothing else." Ashley pressed her. "Are you sure? You looked different last night, lit up." Sarah hesitated, her cheeks warming. "It was just nice to feel wanted," she admitted. "Like I still have that spark." Ashley giggled. "Girl, you are the spark." Sarah hung up and wandered to her closet, running her fingers over her clothes. She thought about last night's outfit. The black skirt, the sheer blouse, the way Matt had looked at her. She picked up the lace bra from the laundry hamper and held it against her skin, remembering how his hands had felt. Warm, strong, gentle. A knock at the bedroom door startled her. Chris stood there, holding the napkin. "Did you leave this in your purse?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Sarah forced a casual smile, taking the napkin from him. "Oh, that? Just a silly game from last night at the bar. We all had to get an autograph." Chris nodded slowly. "You seem to have fun." There was a pause. Sarah's heart pounded, but Chris just shrugged and left the room, the conversation unfinished. That evening, Sarah wandered the house restlessly. She tried to focus on television, but her thoughts kept slipping back to Matt. Was it really just a harmless flirtation? Or was there something more in the way he had looked at her, touched her? Her phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. Hope you like the memory. Maybe next time you'll ask for more than just an autograph. Sarah's stomach flipped. She was half excited, half terrified. Later, while Chris was in the shower, Sarah found herself standing in front of the mirror, examining her reflection. She let the robe slip from her shoulders, revealing the deep red lace bra, her skin glowing softly in the lamplight. She traced her fingers over her curves, the fullness of her breasts, the smooth line of her waist, the gentle swell of her hips and roundness of her bottom. In her mind, she replayed last night, Matt's hands roaming her body, his lips pressing hot, slow kisses along the inside of her thigh, the shiver that ran through her when he teased her with just the lightest touch over her lace panties. He had been careful, never crossing the line, but making her feel desired in a way she had not felt in years. Her breath quickened, her cheeks flushed, and for a brief, delicious moment, Sarah let herself imagine what might have happened if they had not stopped. She caught herself shaking her head. This was just a fantasy, she reminded herself. A secret memory to keep tucked away. The next morning, things seemed almost normal. Chris was quiet but affectionate, making her coffee, brushing her shoulder as he passed by. Yet Sarah could not shake the feeling that he knew more than he was letting on. At lunch, Chris slid a folded piece of paper across the table. Sarah opened it, finding the cocktail napkin inside. Matt's autograph staring back at her. I kept it, Chris said, his tone light, but his eyes searching hers. Sarah forced a laugh. It's a souvenir from a fun night. That's all. Chris nodded, not quite smiling. You deserve more fun, he said softly. Days passed. Sarah found herself visiting the bar again with Ashley and Mia, unable to resist the pull. Matt was there, his green eyes meeting hers as she entered. The memory of his touch sent a thrill through her, but she kept her distance, ordering her drink with a polite smile. Matt slipped her another napkin, this one blank, except for a single question. Did you miss me? Ashley caught the exchange, her eyebrow raised in silent question, but Sarah just smiled and shrugged. As the night wore on, Sarah felt the weight of secrets grow heavier. She watched Chris more closely, noticing how he sometimes seemed distracted, lost in thought. She wondered if he suspected anything, and if she would ever find the courage to tell him the truth. But for now, she held on to her innocent lie, pretending that the past was just a game, even as her heart beat a little faster every time she remembered that forbidden autograph and the dangerous, exhilarating night that had changed everything. Sarah could sense something had shifted. It was subtle at first, a slightly sharper tone in Chris's voice, a lingering look that lasted a moment too long, a question that seemed loaded with unspoken meaning. She tried to ignore the feeling, focusing on work, friends, anything to distract from the tension building in her chest. But then, one evening, Chris surprised her. He showed up at the bar unannounced. Sarah was there with Ashley and Mia, laughing over a plate of nachos. The music thumped, lights flashed, and the bar was packed. Sarah was caught off guard when she saw Chris's tall figure at the entrance, his eyes scanning the crowd. He was dressed in a navy blue shirt, jeans that hugged his toned frame, his dark hair perfectly in place. He looked handsome, almost too put together, as if he had dressed for a purpose. He spotted Sarah and walked over, giving her a quick, tight smile. "Hey, ladies," he said. His voice was casual, but Sarah could feel a storm brewing beneath the surface. Ashley and Mia exchanged glances. "Hey, Chris, want a drink?" Ashley offered, trying to keep the mood light. "Actually, I'll grab something at the bar," Chris replied, already turning away. Sarah watched as he made his way to the counter where Matt was working. She held her breath, knowing that Chris had never met Matt before. Not formally, at least. The bartender was busy with another customer, but turned when Chris called his name. "You're Matt, right?" Chris asked, his tone pleasant, almost too friendly. Matt nodded, running a towel over a glass. "That's me. What can I get you?" Chris hesitated just long enough for the pause to become uncomfortable. "Just a beer. And, you know, I heard you have some memorable stories about customers." He smiled, but there was a sharpness to it. Matt grinned, clearly used to banter. "The bar is full of stories every night." Chris leaned in, lowering his voice. "Did you meet anyone interesting last Friday? Maybe a blonde in a black skirt?" Sarah watched from across the room, her stomach churning. She caught the tension in Matt's eyes as he realized what Chris was getting at. Matt laughed it off, but something in his expression faltered. "Yeah, we get all types," Matt said, voice a little too steady. Chris nodded, took his beer, and walked away. Back at the table, Chris was quieter than usual. Ashley and Mia tried to keep things going, but everyone could feel the shift. At one point, Ashley leaned over to Sarah and whispered, "Is everything okay?" Sarah smiled tightly. "It's fine." But it was not. As the night wound down, Sarah and Chris said their goodbyes and headed home. The ride was silent, tension thick between them. When they got home, Chris went straight to the bedroom. Sarah stood in the living room, heart pounding. She heard Chris moving around, opening drawers, closing them, then silence. The next morning, Sarah woke to find Chris already gone. He left a note. "Gone for a run. We need to talk." Sarah's heart sank. She checked her phone. There waiting for her was another message from the unknown number. "You can't hide forever. Secrets always come out." That afternoon, Sarah's phone buzzed again. This time it was a picture. Her and Matt, close together in the dim corner of the bar. The photo was grainy, but clear enough. Her hand resting on Matt's chest, his face just inches from hers. Sarah's blood ran cold. Who could have taken it? Who was sending these messages? Before she could process, another text arrived. "Does Chris know about this? Maybe he should." Sarah stared at the screen, panic rising. She needed to talk to Matt. She needed answers. She hurried back to the bar that night, her heart in her throat. The place was quieter than usual. Matt was behind the bar, but as soon as he saw Sarah, he motioned for another bartender to take over and met her by the storeroom. Sarah's voice trembled as she spoke. Someone is sending me pictures of us from that night. Matt's face tightened. What? Who? I do not know. They keep texting me. Threats, hints, photos. I cannot let Chris see them. Matt looked around, lowering his voice. There are cameras in the bar, but only management has access. Maybe one of the staff. Sarah bit her lip. It felt like a game, Matt. Now it feels like something else. Matt reached out, his hand gentle on her arm. In that quiet, hidden space, the tension between them reignited. Sarah felt Matt's hand slide down her side, his touch both reassuring and electrifying. His lips found hers, soft at first, then deeper. She pressed into him, her body responding to his warmth, the heat between them flaring to life. His hands moved over her hips, up her waist, fingers brushing over the edge of her blouse. She felt the delicate lace of her bra beneath his touch, her breath quickening. Sarah's heart raced, not just from desire, but from fear, anticipation, and the sense that everything could fall apart at any moment. They broke apart, breathless. We have to figure out who's doing this, Sarah said, voice shaky. Matt nodded. I will ask around. Later, as Sarah left the bar, she saw Chris's car parked across the street. Her heart pounded as she realized he might have seen her go inside. She hurried home, desperate to get ahead of whatever was coming. At home, Chris was waiting, his face unreadable. Where were you? He asked quietly. Out with friends, Sarah lied, her voice too quick. Chris just nodded, but the look in his eyes told her he did not believe her. That night, Sarah could not sleep. She replayed the last few days over and over. Chris at the bar, the strange messages, the photo. Who would do this? Who had been watching? Her phone buzzed once more. Another message. You are not as careful as you think. I am always watching. Sarah stared into the darkness, the shock of being exposed twisting inside her. She thought she had control over the game, over herself, over her marriage. Now everything felt fragile, as if one wrong move could shatter her world for good. She wondered for the first time if she had gone too far. The next morning, Sarah's world felt colder. The messages had changed everything. The air around her seemed charged with invisible eyes. Chris had left for work without a word, the silence in their house both suffocating and heavy. Alone in the kitchen, Sarah scrolled through her phone, reading the anonymous threats again and again. The fear was growing, but so was her curiosity. Who was playing this cruel game? And what did they want? She dressed carefully that day, choosing a modest navy dress, her favorite pale pink lingerie beneath. Lacy, soft, hugging her curves, a gentle reminder of her own femininity. Her blonde hair she left loose, waves spilling down her back. Glancing in the mirror, she saw a woman whose life was suddenly a riddle. At work, she could not concentrate. Every time her phone buzzed, she jumped. She texted Ashley and Mia, asking if they had seen anything strange. Both replied with concern, but neither knew anything about the messages or the photo. Just after lunch, a new text arrived. "I told you, the game has only begun. Meet me at the bar tonight, or I'll send Chris everything." Sarah's hands shook. Her mind raced. Should she tell Chris the truth? Should she go to the bar and try to end this herself? Her stomach twisted, but in the end, she decided she needed answers. When the sun set, Sarah pulled on her black skirt, the same one from that first night, and a fitted cream blouse that clung to her shape. She wore a lacy black bra and matching panties, her confidence a mask to hide her nerves. Her reflection was beautiful, even if her eyes looked worried. The bar was quiet, a stark contrast to the noisy chaos of before. Only a few regulars sat at the far end, lost in their own conversations. Matt was not there tonight, but the manager, a woman named Rachel, nodded politely at Sarah as she entered. She sat at the bar, her heart pounding, scanning the room for anyone suspicious. After a few minutes, a tall man with dark hair and a camera slung across his chest approached. He looked to be in his late 20s, his features sharp and eyes clever. His name was Thomas, and he was a friend of Matt's. Sarah remembered meeting him once at a party. He took the seat next to her, offering a sly smile. "So, you got my invitation?" he said. His voice soft, but filled with confidence. Sarah's heart skipped. "It was you?" Thomas shrugged, twirling his camera's lens. "Someone had to make you pay attention." Sarah's anger flared, but she forced herself to stay calm. "What do you want?" He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "I like games, Sarah. I like secrets, and I like watching people try to keep them." He grinned. "It was easy to get those photos. The bar security footage, a few snapshots from my own lens. Matt had no idea." Sarah felt a chill. "Why me?" Thomas's eyes traced her face, lingering at her lips, then down her blouse. "Because you were the only one who looked like you were about to do something reckless. I love that. I wanted to see how far you would go." Sarah swallowed, trying to steady her nerves. "Are you going to tell Chris?" He smiled. "Depends. Maybe you should give me a reason not to." His hand moved to her thigh, fingers sliding slowly along her skin, just above the edge of her skirt. Sarah felt both anger and an unexpected jolt of thrill. She shifted, intending to push him away, but he leaned in, his lips almost brushing her ear. "You're beautiful, Sarah. Even more so when you are nervous." His breath was warm against her skin. For a moment, the bar, the fear, the consequences faded away, replaced by the raw sensation of being watched, wanted, and cornered. She felt the lace of her panties against her skin, the soft brush of Thomas's hand, and something inside her trembled. It was dangerously exciting, but she forced herself to pull back, breaking the spell. She straightened, her voice icy. "I'm not playing your game." Thomas smiled, unfazed. You are already in it. Sarah left the bar, her mind spinning. Outside, the night was cool and empty. As she reached her car, she saw something taped to the windshield. A photograph, printed and glossy, showing her and Matt in that dark corner, bodies pressed together. On the back, a message. How far will you go to keep your secret safe? Sarah crumpled the photo in her fist, rage and fear burning in her chest. Who else knew? Was Thomas acting alone? Or were there others? She got into her car, fighting back tears. She drove home, hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel. Her thoughts a tangle of shame, anger, and, still, a lingering trace of excitement from the encounter. At home, the house was quiet. Chris was in the living room, his laptop open but ignored. He looked up as Sarah entered. "You're home late," he said. Sarah hesitated. "I went for a drink with Mia. Needed to clear my head." Chris nodded, but the tension in his shoulders did not fade. "Everything okay?" Sarah wanted to tell him everything. About the game, the messages, Thomas. But the words caught in her throat. Instead, she nodded and disappeared into the bathroom, where she finally let herself cry. Later, in bed, Sarah's thoughts raced. She could still feel Thomas's touch, the danger of his threats. But most of all, she worried for Chris. Did he already know? Was he waiting for her to confess? Or was he just as lost in the dark as she was? Her phone buzzed once more. This time it was a video. A blurry recording from the bar's security camera, showing her and Matt kissing, hands roaming over each other's bodies. The message underneath was simple: "Tell him, or I will." Sarah's world felt like it was closing in. But beneath the fear, a spark of defiance ignited. She would not let herself be controlled. She would not play Thomas's twisted game. At least, not by his rules. She turned off her phone and curled up in bed, promising herself that tomorrow she would decide what to do. The mystery was not over. It was only just beginning. Morning arrived heavy and grey, as if the world itself mirrored the weight pressing on Sarah's chest. She lay awake, watching pale sunlight drift across the ceiling. Chris was already up, the distant sound of water running in the kitchen anchoring her to reality. Every part of her wanted to stay in bed, to pretend none of this had happened, to let the night swallow all her secrets. But she knew that was impossible now. She got dressed slowly, choosing a soft white blouse and a pair of dark jeans that hugged her figure. Beneath, her favorite pale blue bra and matching panties, the lace cool against her skin. In the mirror, her eyes looked tired, but her face was resolute. She was beautiful, but more than that. She was determined to face whatever would come. She found Chris at the kitchen table, scrolling through his phone with a distracted expression. He looked up, searching her face. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. He set the phone aside. "Yeah." Sarah sat opposite him, twisting her hands together. Her heart thudded as she tried to find the right words. "I need to tell you something," she began. "Something that happened at the bar. I thought it was just a game, a stupid dare. But it got out of control. And now, someone's threatening me, sending messages and pictures. "I am sorry, Chris. I never wanted to hurt you." Chris's face went pale. For a long time he did not say anything. Then, quietly, "Who?" Sarah hesitated. "A guy named Thomas. He's a photographer, a friend of Matt, the bartender." Chris looked down, shaking his head. "Was it just Matt?" Sarah felt tears prick at her eyes. "It was just flirting at first. Then, that night, I kissed him. It did not go further. But there are photos, and Thomas is threatening to send them to you, to everyone." Chris was silent. His jaw clenched. He stared at her. Pain and confusion etched across his handsome features. "Why?" he asked, voice cracking. "Was I not enough?" Sarah shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. "It was never about you. I wanted to feel alive. I wanted to remember who I was before everything got so routine." Chris stood abruptly, pacing the kitchen. "You should have told me. You should have trusted me." "I know. I'm sorry," she whispered. For a moment, it seemed the silence would swallow them both. Then Chris turned, his eyes hard. "I want to see those messages." Sarah handed him her phone, every muscle tense as he read through the threats, the pictures, the video. His hands trembled. Later that afternoon, the group chat with their friends, Ashley, Mia, Nick, Jason, exploded. A video had been posted by a new anonymous account. Blurry footage of Sarah and Matt in their intimate moment at the bar. The chat was chaos. Confused questions, awkward silences, emojis of shock. Sarah stared in disbelief, her hands numb. Ashley called her immediately, voice frantic. "What is going on? Are you okay? Did you really?" Sarah's voice broke as she tried to explain. "It was a dare, Ash. I messed up. I'm so sorry." Mia messaged, too, her words kinder. But Sarah could feel the judgment even through the screen. She realized she had underestimated how fast secrets could become public, how quickly a game could turn into a nightmare. Chris left the house without a word, the front door clicking shut with quiet finality. Sarah tried to call him, but he did not answer. She sat on the floor, holding her phone, the group chat still buzzing. She wanted to disappear, but she knew she could not run from herself. A new message appeared from Thomas. "Looks like your secret is out. Was it worth it?" Sarah deleted it without responding. A few minutes later, another message. "You still owe me." But this time, Sarah felt only exhaustion. She blocked his number, then stood up, wiping her tears. Enough was enough. 2 days passed. The world felt sharper, every sound and glance heavier with meaning. At work, whispers followed Sarah in the halls. Ashley and Mia checked in, but Nick and Jason kept their distance. She wondered if Matt even knew what had happened. The bar was closed, a sign on the door reading "closed for renovation." Chris did not come home that night, nor the next. Sarah tried to busy herself, but her mind kept circling back to him, to the look in his eyes when she confessed. On the third night, Sarah returned to the bar. She stood outside in the summer dusk, hands trembling. She had come for closure, for herself, not for Matt or Thomas or anyone else. The bar was empty, chairs stacked on tables, lights dimmed. She walked in anyway, the air smelling faintly of citrus and bittersweet memories. She found a cocktail napkin waiting at her old table. On it, a familiar signature. For Sarah. Every game ends, but you get to choose the next move. Chris. A tear slipped down her cheek as she picked up the napkin. She sat at the table, letting the quiet settle around her. It was over. The secrets were out. The damage done. But there was something freeing about it too. The truth had cut her open, but it had also set her free. She sat there for a long time, until the light faded outside and the silence felt comforting. She returned home and found Chris in the kitchen. He looked tired, but calmer. For a moment they simply stared at each other. "I saw your note," she said. Chris nodded. "I needed time." Sarah nodded too. "Me too." He came over, taking her hand. For the first time in days, his touch was gentle. "I do not know what happens next, but maybe we could start over." She managed a small smile. Maybe. That night, Sarah lay awake beside him, staring at the ceiling. She did not know if they would heal, if things would ever go back to the way they were. But she knew she would never again take for granted the fragile trust that held them together. The game was over, but their story, messy, imperfect, real, was still being written.